Welcome to Better Together podcast from the ministry of Cowie Baptist Church, a podcast about the local church, the kingdom, and the gospel.
All right, so what is up, everybody? Thank you again for joining us for the Better Together podcast. My name is Tyler Pendergrass. I'm the host of this podcast. Today is a very exciting episode. We're sitting down with a longtime friend of mine. We went to school together, spent a lot of time together. Sitting down today with Isaac J. Isaac, what's up, man? How's it going?
Good. How are we doing?
Good. So how's your week been?
Not too bad. It's kind of weird being back. It's been raining a lot. Rained probably, 6-7 times since I've been back, so... Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, it rains a lot in Honduras, but like during the wet season, it was dry season over there right now, so wasn't used to all that. But it happens when you live in a rainforest. So, yeah.
Right. Yeah, we've been getting a ton of rain here.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the reason I wanted to sit down and talk with you today. So you just spent the majority of the summer on mission in Honduras. How long were you gone for?
So I was gone for close to 8-9 weeks, somewhere in there, maybe a little bit over 8 weeks. I left May 30th, and then I flew back the 4th of August. So yeah, a little bit over 2 months. Pretty much, yeah, the whole summer, a good amount of time.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome. So,
yeah.
You know, that's a long time to commit on one trip. So did you just like how did that come about where you're like, man, I feel called to go to this area and go for this long? And
yeah, so we went to Honduras in December, and I really felt the Lord call my heart there. I mean, I just started teaching Spanish. Spanish has always been a big thing for me. I love communicating with those people. And then, when we went there in December, there's just so many great people full of joy. There was a lot of abilities and opportunities to serve there. So with me just starting to teach Spanish, I didn't have anything to do over the summertime or nothing planned yet. And one of the organizations, the Sparrow Missions, we went with Upper 90, but they correlated a lot of activities together with Sparrow. Sparrow has the school and everything. I found out about their internship program, and yeah, I was like, that really interests me. I want to serve there for over the whole summer. That's something I really want to do. So yeah, I signed up.
Okay, cool. And what did the preparation look like for planning to go for so long?
Most of it was just financial, just getting some fundraising. It's my second time flying. I mean, there wasn't really, just preparing for what my mission was going to be down there. Getting all my finances in order, but also, just getting my heart prepared to just serve every day, which is pretty much what we did every single day. It was, I won't get too much into the details, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So you left, you said it was May is when you
May
left?
30th, yeah.
May 30th.
May 30th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So with Spanish, like, I know you caught on pretty early in high school, right? You took Spanish in high school?
Yeah.
And then, you say you're fluent in Spanish, right?
We're getting there, 70-80%. I really realized, I've said it a lot, immersion's the only way to learn a language, but being down there for 2 months, it's crazy how much you learn. But yeah, being down there in that country is really the only way to be, because as long as you're in the United States, like, the way I compare it is, when I would work with Hispanic people, there would be people would be like, oh, I don't want to talk about work. Well, when you work with Hispanic people, you kind of get limited to that kind of work vocab. Whereas when you're immersed in the country, when you wake up, you're hearing people have conversations, you're going to sleep at night, you making breakfast, all these different things. There's so much vocab that you miss out on just in your daily life. Spanish definitely improved over the summer, just being immersed into it. I'd love to stay longer to... just for all different types of reasons, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then was the dialect different down there from what?
They use a lot of what's called subjunctive. It's kind of like when you express doubt, but also it's kind of like, it's, I guess, in some way to like kind of speaking more respectfully. It's just a different verb conjugation, but they use it where like people in Mexico, they use more kind of direct talking, like dime, which is tell me. They say dígame. It's just a different way of saying it. It's more respectful. It comes off as being less direct. So yeah, that's almost how they'd all use the subjunctive conjugation. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So where did you stay at when you were down there?
So Sparrow Missions, they have a school there, and they have like 190 students all the way from 1st to 10th grade. That's where the church is, Kainos, as well. They have a couple office buildings, but they just got done building the mission houses. So they had mission houses, so they'd have teams come in every single week on Saturday, and I would stay with them. I would stay in the mission house. It had like a kitchen, a little patio, it had a bunch of bunk beds, and a little apartment. Chris Weeks, the director for Sparrow Mission, he was like, hey, I have an idea. Let's build some mission houses, and they threw it together. They built the whole thing in like 3 months. It was awesome. They put it up really quick. I mean, when I got there, it still wasn't even finished. I helped them do the last touches, and then the very next team showed up like 4 days later. So it was like right on time. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
So since you were down there for so long, were you kind of in the same area the whole time, or stay in the same house, or?
Yeah. So the first 7 weeks, I was solely with Sparrow. I mean, that's who my internship was with. Just with Sparrow. So a new team would come in Saturday, and then the old team would leave on Saturday. And yeah, it was doing kind of like, not like a routine, but going to like a lot of similar places. Like we would go to the Silo, which is the elderly's home, and we would dance with them and share the gospel. We would go to Central Park and share the gospel there as well. We would hang out with the kindergarten class. We would go to the men's rehab facility called Ministerio Vida and do ministry there. But yeah, it was, yeah.
Okay, cool. So was that the main purpose of the internship, was you were meeting teams that came in every week and then help them go out on mission, or what exactly did that look like?
As an intern, pretty much my responsibilities were taking care of the team, making sure they're comfortable. When we were at the mission houses, I was in charge of taking care of the mission houses, making sure, of course, they're not getting too dirty, make sure groceries were stocked, taking care of them, making sure that they had everything they need while they're at the mission houses. And then also, when we went out, I was in charge. I did a lot of music. I love playing instruments, so I would play the cajon, I would play guitar, I would help them out during, we were always playing music all the time. When we go to Ministry Video, we'd play music. When we'd go to a Silo, the old folks' homes, we'd be playing music. We would have meetings every night with devotionals, and we'd always do praise and worship before that. So I was either playing guitar or playing the cajon and singing. Yeah. Oh, what was the? Sorry, I forgot.
No,
I get so
good.
sidetracked.
No, you're good. Yeah, just like the main thing that you did while you were there every week, like was it essentially like you're doing the same thing 7 weeks in a row, or like each
pretty
experience
much
different?
I mean, we of course we have to be flexible because sometimes things don't work. For example, we would always go to the Central Park, and the Central Park, they got like, it's in the middle of the city. They got like the fountain, and they have the San Pedro sign, and people take a lot of pictures with it. But there's also a lot of people that are homeless around there, and there's a lot of people just kind of sitting around, waiting around for waiting for pretty much handouts. But what we would do is we'd come there and we'd preach the gospel. We'd play music and stuff, and we would bring food with us as well. But we wouldn't hand out the food or the water until we were done, somebody giving their testimony or just done with the service and whatnot. So some people would be there just for the food, but if they wanted to get food, if they wanted water, they at least have to like listen to the gospel. And then there's other people there too that were hanging out and stuff and would listen to what we'd have to say. And yeah, it was fun.
So were they pretty receptive to what was going on there?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's a very, some people, they are very legalistic there, but for the most part, they weren't rude about it in any way. They were, you wouldn't get pushed away if they didn't want to hear what you were saying. They weren't like rude about it in any way. People were very receptive, which was nice. Mm-hmm. It didn't have to deal with too many those types of situations. So
right.
Yeah.
So what's the faith background that most of them have there? Is there like a faith that most people would have there, or are they?
Faith meaning like, what do I mean?
Like, are they more like would they associate with Christianity? Would they associate with something else? Yeah, more
Christianity, but it was, when I say legalistic, it was more like it's either you. So they love soccer down there, obviously, mm-hmm. But a lot of the people, just because you see how some ways sports gets with things, you know what I mean? Like, mm-hmm. People say it's for God and stuff, but it gets a lot of the legalistic people will be like, it's either, the church or it's soccer. And if you choose soccer, that's it. Like, that's,
okay.
There's no, you're choosing the wrong path pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
that's not how everybody is, but that's how a couple people would be.
Okay.
Some people, so yeah.
Okay. And then the area that you were focused in again, how do you pronounce that again?
San Pedro.
San-
San Pedro. So like for white people, San Pedro Sula.
Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna say it
San
like.
Pedro Sula.
Yeah. Okay. So that area, what is it more like the economics of the area? Is it more underdeveloped region, or is it more like a city?
It's very urban, so it has it has a population of 1.3 million people.
Oh, wow.
So it's a very big city. A lot of people think like, oh, you're going to Honduras, you're going out and in the middle of nowhere. No, San Pedro is a huge city. Lots of traffic, a lot of things going on. Tall buildings. They have a lot of different businesses. There's a lot of American business too. They have KFC, Popeyes. It's a big city for sure.
Yeah. Did you eat any KFC
I
while
had
you're down there?
Popeyes.
Yeah?
I love Popeyes. We don't have any Popeyes close to here, so I was like, anytime we had a chance, I was like, let's go to Popeyes.
Yeah.
I want a chicken sandwich.
Was it good?
Yeah, it was good. It was very good.
Yeah?
Yeah, everything's in. Normally the sides will be a little bit different. Like it'll come with like rice and beans or something like that as your side. But then they have like mashed potatoes and normal stuff.
Yeah.
They had. I remember their menu was in Spanish, obviously, and it was like I was reading the sides. It said papa puree, which was like pureed potatoes, and I was like,
Yeah.
pureed potatoes? What? That sounds terrible. Like, what is that?
And it was just mashed
It
potatoes.
was mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, duh.
That's funny.
But yeah.
So yeah, I guess talking about food too, like, what was it, a culture shock going down there with the food that they prepared, or?
I was like I said, we'd been in December, so I was pretty prepared for it. It was not really a culture shock. I love Hispanic food just in general. Like,
Right.
so I was open and I'm always open to try new things. So it wasn't too crazy for me. I enjoyed it, if anything. Like I love the food. Like baleadas are kind of like, it's like a big soft taco with like, you put like beans and eggs and chicken and then a bunch of different stuff on it. And that's kind of like a typical Honduran dish. They have Baleada Express. I mean, there's little chain restaurants just specifically made for baleadas. So yeah, there's a lot of those down there.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. So the majority of your time you're spent with Sparrow doing the internship there. Were you the only intern that they had, or did they have a couple, or?
So there was 4 in total interns. Me and Faith were there for the beginning. She got there a day before me. But yeah, me and Faith were there pretty much the entire time, and then a couple of them showed up a couple weeks later. Like one of them showed up like week 4, and the other one showed up week 5. So there was 4 of us in total. But me and Faith were there like the entire time. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. And then, so the majority of your time is spent with Sparrow. That last week, a team from our church came down and were on mission there. Were you with them that week?
Yes, they were. So Cowie came down the very last week, and that's when I ended up actually. They came down with Upper 90, and I was with Sparrow, which are 2 different organizations. So I ended up switching and going with them and doing all their different stuff. Excuse me. Yeah, so I was with Sparrow for 7 weeks, and then on the very last week, Cowie came, and they came with a group called Upper 90 with Tyler wasn't actually there at that time, but Jorge and Judy. So I ended up going. They stayed at a different hotel, and we kind of their ministry is in a couple different spots. They go down to Santa Marta. I don't know if you've heard of Marlon, but that's where Marlon lives. He was a famous Honduran soccer player. Used to play for the big team down in San Pedro. He's an awesome player, but now he does a lot of soccer ministry, and he does a lot of work through Upper 90. But Upper 90, they go to a lot of similar places. That's how I actually met Sparrow. But they do like they go to a couple different places.
Okay.
Similar but a little bit different.
So what did that look like the difference in the two? Like, we kind of talked about what you did when you were with Sparrow. So when you were with our church in Upper 90, how did that week look different? Or was it similar, or?
Just between Upper 90
Like
and Sparrow?
Like what you were serving, what you were doing whenever you were with Upper 90 and with Cowie, what was the difference?
What was the difference compared with Sparrow?
Yeah.
With Sparrow, I was more directly involved. Like, I was one of the interns, and people would show up and they'd be like, hey, this is Faith and Isaac. They're here to pretty much help you if you need help with translation. If you need something, you can come to us and we can help you with that, because that's where, we signed up for an internship there to go and serve
Right.
there. So the teams that would go with Sparrow, I was kind of dedicated to them and making sure, they had everything that, not like a servant, but like, making sure like they're, anything that they need, their needs were met. And just also helping them throughout the community. Like when we'd go to Rancho Bonito, which is kind of one of the poorer communities, that's where a lot of Sparrow's ministry is, in Rancho Bonito. Just making sure that they were comfortable, making sure that they had help, make sure they didn't run off anywhere, pretty much. Again, I forgot what the I get on these rabbit trails.
No, you're good, man. So then that's what you were doing when you were with Sparrow, and then with Upper 90, what were you guys doing?
Upper 90, so with Upper 90, I was just kind of part of the team. I was just there with Upper 90. Judy and Jorge were the leaders of the group, and I helped with music in the morning, but we would go to the different places, and I was just like a team member. I was with everybody else serving, so I had more of a kind of like a leadership role when I was with Sparrow. With Upper 90, that last week with Cowie, I was just part of the team. So
okay,
yeah,
cool. And you guys were mostly I know they do like a soccer-based ministry, right?
Yes.
With Upper 90.
Yes.
So
yes. They're especially like what I said. Marlon, he's a professional soccer player. Played for the Honduran team. A lot of soccer-based ministry. We'd run a lot of drills, have a lot of games, do a lot of different stations and stuff. And then we'd always have like a gospel sharing station, and then we'd bring somebody in and have a testimony. Marlon has a group of kids that he's leading, or he has them in a leadership program, and he's kind of ministering to them and stuff. But yeah, Upper 90 is more. I mean, Upper 90 means like the top left-hand corner of a goal, because that's where the word Upper 90 comes from, because it's a satisfying goal, but like it relates to the gospel too. But
okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
So the areas that you were in, like safety wise, I know a lot of people, whenever they hear about people going on mission to other countries, especially a country that you would feel like is much different than ours, what was the safety like? Did you feel secure while you were there, or?
Well, I'll start off with Rancho Bonito, because that's where I was most of the time with Sparrow. Rancho, I felt completely safe in. Rancho was known to be more dangerous, but ever since they've started doing gospel there and started doing ministry, since Sparrow's been in there, they've changed. A lot of the core leaders from Sparrow are from Rancho Bonito, so they're big influences in their communities there. And walking through Rancho Bonito now in this day, I felt completely safe. I mean, we have teams in there every single week, 3, 4, 5 times a week, so it wasn't strange for anybody being like, oh, they call you gringos there, so like, oh, like some gringos. No, it was completely normal. There used to be 2 gangs, and ever since Sparrow came, one of the gangs has just disappeared. So there's just one gang there that kind of runs all of it, but they don't really. Most of the violence was gang on gang, so they don't really mess with anybody else there. They kind of control the whole area. So while he was in Rancho, I really didn't feel not too scared, and I would let people know that too. All the kids were running around the streets, and it. I felt safe there in Rancho. In Santa Marta, I can't speak too much for Santa Marta. I felt safe there. I can't speak for everybody there. Marlon did tell us that there was a lot of crime there in the past couple weeks there, just amongst several different things. But I didn't spend too much time there, so as long as Marlon's there, because Marlon pretty much has asked the people that live there if it's okay to use the field, so him bringing everybody there, there wasn't really any danger to be expected. So, I mean, for the most part, I felt pretty safe. I didn't really feel any danger.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. So you're there for so long. What are some memorable stories that you have during your time there? Just some big moments that stand out.
Oh man, I wish Irvin, he was on the video last Sunday. If y'all watched the video last night, he's just such an amazing guy. I mean, if I heard his he always gives his testimony while he's down there. His testimony is just amazing. He used to come. So Rancho Bonito started when in 1998 there was Hurricane Mitchell, and it killed over 17,000 people in Honduras, and a lot of people from the mountains came to San Pedro Sula, the big city, for refuge, just because all the damage and stuff. So that's how kind of Rancho Bonito community started, and so Irvin came with them out of the mountains, and he learned he was learning to not a lot of good things, learning how to steal cables and go beg in the streets from his buddies. And then one day, I mean, I'm cutting this really short. His testimony is way better than I'm giving it credit for. But pretty much one day, a group of missionaries came up, and one of them just opened up their arms, and he opened up his arms too and gave him a hug. And through that hug, he accepted Christ. And from that, that man has so much energy and so much love for God and Christ. It's amazing to see. It's absolutely magnificent. When we would go to the old folks' home, he had his little tambourine, and he'd be running around, he'd be dancing, he'd be doing a bunch of crazy. He just brings his energy with him. He has this joy in him. And when he wasn't there, it just felt like an element was missing. So yeah, Irvin was super memorable guy. What else? Do you want me another story?
Yeah.
Also, William, he's the first missionary with Sparrow. So his story is, I'm gonna cut it short too. I'm not gonna give the whole thing just because So he and his family ran into a lot of trouble at Rancho Bonito, so they had to flee pretty much outside of the community. And he had to go work for his uncle, and he was cutting grass with a machete for like 100 lemps a day, which is, I mean, maybe $3 or $4 a day. And he got into contact with Chris Lopez, which is the national director of Sparrow, and he's like, Chris, there's no hope here. We're out here just working so hard. We can barely make a living. There's nothing. So Chris invited him to come back and stay with him. Like, okay, like maybe things are coming down. You can come stay with me and work with Sparrow for a little bit. So anyways, so he started to God put in his heart into William's heart to become a missionary. Mm-hmm. So he was writing all this stuff down in his notes, all these ideas that he had, and at the same time, Chris Lopez came up to him. He's like, "Hey man, what would you think about becoming a missionary?" He's like, "Chris, look, I already have all these notes. I've been praying about this. I've been thinking about this. This is exactly what I've been wanting to do." Mm-hmm. So. No, this is awesome. So yeah, so that's what he goes down to Copen. It's a city farther south of San Pedro, and he's working on ministry there. So that was just awesome how God was already working beforehand, before they even realized. So
absolutely,
yeah,
that's awesome. So do you plan to go back?
Yes, I want to. I definitely want to go back. Being there 2 months, I made so many connections with so many great people. It was hard leaving at first, being there for, a week, you get a taste. Being there 2 months, you really dive in. You really connect with some people, especially, doing kind of similar things each weekend, doing just relating with people and connecting with people in awesome different ways. I'm definitely going back, to answer your question.
Okay.
For sure. I think we're going in December, I believe. So I would like to go again. I don't know if I'll be able to do another 2 months there. Mm-hmm. Just, it's hard to make that large investment of time,
right.
But if I get the opportunity to do it again, I definitely will.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that's cool that you were able to go this time. It worked out with your job, having the summers off, being able to go do that.
Yeah.
It was cool that you were able to do that. I guess one more thing, too. So if somebody maybe is a little anxious about going, maybe feeling called to that area of the world, what advice would you give them?
If they're feeling anxious, don't feel anxious. Just go. The ministry that we do, especially with Sparrow, is super safe, and it's an experience that, if God has placed in your heart, you shouldn't, back out on. You should definitely go. it's life-changing, and it really is. Being able to see the joy that these people have in their hearts, it's definitely worth the risk, I guess. The risk. But and all the communities that we go to, like Rancho Bonito, it's nothing unsafe. You're completely safe there, and you can just do great things. I would 100% recommend it.
Awesome. Well, thanks, man. I appreciate you sitting down today. Yeah. So we're gonna wrap things up here. Thank you guys again for listening to the Better Together podcast. You can find other episodes on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. And we will also have a video version posted to YouTube for you guys to watch as well. So yeah, we're gonna wrap things up again. Thank you again, Isaac, for sitting down with us today.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, guys. God bless.
Bye-bye.